Welcome one, welcome all to Pit Road Productions. For the second last time this season, we are live for the Almeida Racing League, round 10 at the Circuito de Jerez, here in Jerez de la Frontera in the lovely sherry-producing region of Spain. Bringing it to you live here on the Pit Road Productions YouTube channel, as well as Suelio Almeida's YouTube channel. It's myself, Reese Gardner, in the comms box, alongside Daniel Zippy Salmon, who is also producing behind the scenes and pressing all the buttons, bringing you these beautiful live pictures. Spec Racer Ford Zippy has brought us a fantastic season of racing, and frankly, I'm a bit disappointed that we're only going to have one more round after this.
Absolutely, myself included as well. I've been saying it for a long time that the Spec Racer Ford is probably one of the best cars you can race on the iRacing sim. It's one of those cars. It makes it accessible to more learning drivers, and not only that, the pros can really exploit the thing as well. And then if you do have a little bit of a skill deficit, the draft makes for even interesting battles. If you're not quite got the pace, it can help you keep up, and if you do have the pace, it can make for some absolutely phenomenal battles. But we got to admit, Jerez, not one of my Princess approved tracks, but certainly one that I do believe you're familiar with, Reese.
Yes, I think it's quite an underrated circuit, honestly. Series don't often use it, but when they do, the racing is usually fantastic. There's a lot of history to this circuit as well. Built in the mid-1980s, hosted the Formula One Spanish Grand Prix and European Grand Prix throughout the 80s and 90s as well. Been through a couple of changes over the years, but now it's more famous for its motorcycle racing, and it has certainly been the scene of many great battles in MotoGP in particular. But I think we should have a look at what else we've seen this season in terms of circuits and where we're going to be going for the final round. First round was at Montreal, and then Tsukuba, Sebring, and the endurance round at Watkins Glen, to Interlagos and Chicago to round out the first 6 rounds of the championship. A great selection of circuits that really showed what the Spec Racer Ford could do. VIR was certainly a banger, so was Imola, as was the second endurance round at Road America. We're here at Jerez for round 10, and we close off the season next week at Winton Motor Raceway, ending the season in my home country of Australia. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it's all going to work out and how they're going to deal with this very flowing layout. It's a good view here of this particular circuit here, Zippy. It's quite a nice sequence of corners, provides plenty of overtaking opportunities.
It absolutely does. But Reese, why don't you take us quickly through the race format for today? We have done the endurance rounds for this season. That was Road America, and I believe, what was the other one there?
Watkins Glen.
I thought it was. I knew they were both Princess approved tracks, Reese. But anyway, race format.
Absolutely. Well, the drivers have already done their 60 minutes of practice. They're in the middle of their 15 minutes of open qualifying, and then we'll be going for 3 races today. 2 heat races to start things off of about 15 minutes each. Randomized invert for race 2, which is going to be 7 this time around. The top 7 from race 1 will be inverted for heat 2. And then the feature race of 20 minutes in length, grid set by the results of heat 2. It's a fixed setup, so all you really have to work on is your own driving style to get the best out of the car, and there's no fast repairs, so you better make sure to avoid heavy contact, otherwise you're going to be massively compromised.
Absolutely, Reese. Here we are just getting into it looks like the start of a lap, Reese, and we've got Martin Visser, who's gone purple in 2 sectors. Let's get an onboard lap with him. Reese, do the honours, sir.
Absolutely. Into turn 1 here. We are slightly uphill, and you've got to be careful not to carry too much speed past the apex there, because it's very easy to run off track. Very short blast in between turns 1 and 2, a sausage curve on the inside that you need to avoid, and then flat out through these 2 left-hand coming up to what is, for my money, the most difficult corner on the circuit, the right-hander here at Cito Pons. This is the altered layout of the circuit. It didn't used to run this way in particular, but I think it's a really good change. A lot of potential for oversteer there, and it's hard to find the apex. You've got to get on the power as early as you can for the run down the back straight, which is where we're going to be seeing a lot of passing today. The 137 of Martin Visser given way into Drysack, the hairpin where Jacques Villeneuve and Michael Schumacher came together in 1997 to decide the Formula One World Drivers title. And then into another double left sequence. This one's flat out, and this one coming up is another one that just keeps going forever and is incredibly difficult to find the apex for. But you get on the power early enough, you can actually rotate the car and bring it round for the braking zone into the double right here. This is Angel Nieto corner, the man whom the circuit is named after, and then a right kink coming into the Senna chicane. You see that sweeper ahead? That's where the track originally went, but after the 1994 F1 season, the chicane was put in to break up the flow of the circuit and make sure that cars weren't going too fast in this section of the circuit. Not that it's really relevant in cars that are as slow as the Spec Racer Ford is. Final braking zone here at Marc Marquez corner, and that will be your final opportunity to make passes before you have to bring it round for another lap. It's a very compact circuit, packs a lot of racetrack into a small space, but I really love it.
I gotta admit, it is actually really beautiful scenic track as well. It's Yanis Filippinopoulos right now. He is leading the club class, ladies and gentlemen. He's currently in P6 overall. Fair play to him. But let's give a shout out to a new driver here we've seen for the first time on the Almeida Racing Academy. It's Barrett Brummett, ladies and gentlemen, and he's going to be a Premier Class driver, rocking around 4,000 iRating. I do have to wonder, Barrett, where have you been most of the season? You're here for the penultimate round, but certainly we'll look to see how you do here on your debut.
Indeed, Brummett racing under the flag of the United States of America, carrying the number 1 on his car. I'm not sure if that's intentional, but if anything, I think it does signal his intentions, as he's certainly been competitive. Fastest time in practice of a 158.1, and that put him P6, exactly where he sits in qualifying at the moment. If he can keep it in the slipstream, then he'll certainly be competitive in all 3 races tonight. But Thomas Nieminen is the man on top at the moment. We see him tip his way into the corner behind there as the drivers in front try to sort themselves out. We were briefly looking at Zdenek Hamak as well, who has had a fantastic season, frankly, in the Spec Racer Ford. I think he's found his mojo with this car. He's been in contention for wins pretty much the whole season. We've also got to keep an eye out for the likes of Brandon Priest as well. Priest has been getting closer and closer to competing for those outright wins, and he's had magnificent battles with our championship leaders. He was quite close to the top in practice, but has yet to put down a time he's happy with in qualifying.
Yeah, certainly. I think what's really going to hurt him right now is he is out of the draft. Ladies and gentlemen, I've said it once and I'm going to say it again. The draft is absolutely monumental in these Spec Racer Fords. And certainly, as I say that, Kevin Adrian, he's just got to snuck to the top of the timing standings, ladies and gentlemen. And look at that. He's getting a tow there from Brummett right ahead. But look right behind him. As I say that, Brandon Priest does get a timing. Despite the lack of tow, he goes just 300ths of a second behind Kevin Adrian. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, a club class driver is indeed leading qualifying with a 157.94.
Yeah, that's a really good time from Kevin Adrian, and props to Brandon Priest. You know, we do go on about how important the slipstream is in these cars, but this isn't the first time I've seen a driver without a slipstream run a really fast time. So maybe it's not the be-all, end-all in qualifying. We'll have to wait and see if there's any further improvements from Kevin Adrian and company. I don't think it's going to be an improvement for Adrian on this lap, because he's just let Yanis Filippinopoulos buy him into dry sack, and is going to let Yanis have a go behind Barrett Brummett in that train of slipstreaming cars. But a very impressive time from Kevin Adrian. He's been at the top of the club class pretty much the whole season. His results haven't always reflected his standing, but especially in this last half of the season, he's had some really good drives. Maybe that's not one of them there, doing a little bit of playing in the sandpit and falling to the back of the train. Still 5 minutes to go in qualifying, so plenty of time to get another time down.
Yeah, certainly. This isn't going to be one of those sessions where you can just put in a good time and leave it be. The times are going to come faster and quicker the sooner, the more track time these guys get. You see there, Martin Visser has gone purple in the first 2 sectors. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a feeling we're about to see a new leader here for the grid as he brings his way down the start finish. He's had a draft on the front, on the back, and he's about to cross that checkered flag, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I say checkered flag, that start finish flag, as Nieminen went purple in the final 2 sectors, but Yannis Pierpanopoulos goes to the top. Nieminen very quickly takes that off him and absolutely destroys it at the top of the grid. 38 hundredths of a second as Brandon Priest has said, no thank you, I don't need the draft. Ladies and gentlemen, the driver of the number 30 car pips him by a 100th of a second. This qualifying session is incredibly intense so far.
Certainly is. Who's going to end up on top? The guys in the draft train or Brandon Priest, who's evidently doing this all by himself? Some fantastic times being set down. We are down to a 157.5, and actually it looks like for the first time in qualifying, we've had times run faster than those in practice. So let's keep an eye out for them to potentially try and get into the 157.4s. This car has tyres that last a pretty long time. I think traditionally in Spec Racer Ford, the races aren't long enough to require a tyre change or even fuel for that matter. So these cars can keep going on a stint of multiple laps in a qualifying session.
Oh, absolutely. Certainly a lot of the drivers, if it was an open setup, currently we run fixed, and honestly, I think that is the way to do it, because this is an academy, ladies and gentlemen. We're teaching the drivers how to drive the car, not how to set up the car. That is a different area of expertise, and indeed, that's why in the real world they have race engineers, ladies and gentlemen. People are paid very specifically just for that purpose, but right now the fixed setup, honestly, it's always been my preferred way to go. Having a spec series is the way to go, and indeed, who could do it better than these Spec Racer Forders? Martin Visser there, trying to make a move ahead of Nieminen, as we see Yannis Pierpanopoulos putting himself to the back. So right now, just for context, Nieminen, Visser, actually Visser, he's quite far down. I expect him to be higher despite having a purple sector. Nieminen went purple in sector 1, Visser in sector 2. Are we going to see a little bit of a shake up here? Visser is currently in P9. Are we going to see him be able to move up? He has indeed. Makes his way up to P3 as Nieminen has said thank you very much and moved his way back to the top of the food chain with a 157.48.
Yeah, we are into the 157.4s finally, and yeah, Visser, he's been struggling to get that better time down. The lap before that was actually technically an improvement, but he got an off track somewhere along the way, so it didn't officially count to set himself further up the grid. So the pressure's on now. We've got Nieminen, we got Priest, we got Visser, all in the mid 157s. Then we've got Theophanopoulos and Adrian on a 157.9, and then low 158s for Barrett Brummett, Zdenek Hamark, Rich Meesters, and Adam Mika. That's your top 9 covered by a mere 0.6 of a second, maybe 0.7 or thereabouts. It's quite competitive indeed. Let's see what Meesters can do to elevate himself up a bit further. It looks like end of the session for Mark Schmerder in the number 19. He'll have to settle for 12th place at best. There's not enough time to get another lap in from this point if you leave the pits now. It's actually quite interesting to see the lap times nearly 2 minutes around this place. I often think of Jerez as being a sort of a short blast kind of circuit, you know. A lot of the faster cars on iRacing can set times in the 1:30s and 1:40s, but this car certainly spends a lot of time getting down those straights.
I gotta admit, and it's a beautiful straightaways they are, but I want to draw a bit of attention to the fact here, because right now, the club class, they are out in P4 and P5 as it stands at the minute. The next nearest club class competitor is this man, it's Andre Sabota, and he's currently in P13. This could be absolutely huge shake-up here for the club class standings. Actually, we should take a quick look at the championship standings there, Reese.
While we still have time, the one thing that we forgot here at the start of the broadcast. So
Yeah.
Ian Joyner is the overall leader of the championship, and Kemal Kasim is from a different split, so is Timo Nolte. But Martin Visser, the next driver from split 1 in P4, and looks like Ian Joyner has a bit of a runaway lead at the moment. it's going to be very hard to beat him from there. Zdenek Hamark sits P6 in those overall standings, and then we see Kevin Adrian as the ninth place driver in the overall standings, and I believe leading the club class overall, which is certainly a fantastic achievement. But that's where they are for the moment. There's no Ian Joyner here today, so it's a free kick for everyone behind him as qualifying is done, and it's time for the first heat. Thomas Nieminen gaining pole position ahead of Brandon Priest on the front row, Martin Visser and Rich Meesters third and fourth. Yanis Theophanopoulos and Kevin Adrian are your top two in club, and we have Adam Meeker and Barrett Brummett on debut starting out of the top 8. Zdenek Hamark is 9th, and Zoltan Zomotor will round out your top 10.
In P11, the gentleman himself, Mr. Steve Saunders, is going to be there alongside Mark Schmurder in 12th. Having a look at 13th, though, we got Andres Sabota, the third place for the club class, ladies and gentlemen, with Dominic Sayu alongside in 14th. James Conrad takes 15th with Philip Masson in 16th. Carlton Howard there in 17th. And then Carlos Facanha. Not really seen him doing too much recently. Actually, reminds me, where is Gabriel Ordego? Where has he been? He started so potent here in this series. Would love to see him back as well, the fellow Brazilian driver, with Kane Halliburton rocking the field at the end. No Connor Bell today, ladies and gentlemen, but I have a feeling Kane is going to do a couple of swift moves here through the field.
Indeed, if you're not familiar with the Almeida Racing League, these are all students of the academy, except for Halliburton, who is the head coach. And when a coach is racing in one of these events, they will start at the very back of the grid and see how far up they can get. And it provides quite a bit of practice for these students to basically develop their racing skills, their defensive nous, and it's a great learning opportunity. Well, we're about to get ready to move away here under the pace car, and it's a short formation lap here at Jerez. They are starting on the run into Angel Nieto corner, so they only have a few corners to negotiate before they have to get things started. But that run to turn 1, it's not the shortest in the world, and while you can carry quite a bit of speed through turn 1, it's still quite the overtaking opportunities, Zippy. So I think we're going to be seeing some moves on the first lap.
I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I gotta say, I've not really driven Jerez, but having watched these guys do, I think it's a track I would very much really enjoy. There's some beautiful scenery as well. I'm a sucker for scenery, ladies and gentlemen, and indeed, over out in the European side, I do wonder if I could, I'd love to go and do a tour of Europe. Ladies and gentlemen, a little bit of random advice from the Zip here is just go out and live, ladies and gentlemen. Go out, have adventures, and indeed experience the world. As certainly when I lived in the UK, it was all a lot more accessible. But certainly this is going to be an experience for all of these drivers. As Thomas Nieminen is bringing it round there, he's going to be our pole sitter, ladies and gentlemen. And are we going to see an absolute belter of a start? The field bunching up nicely already. A little bit of weaving going on there. That's Barrett Brummett in the background. And away we go, ladies and gentlemen. And battles already starting to happen. Are we going to see a 4-5 wide? Ladies and gentlemen, right on cue. Are they going to go for it? 2 wide, potentially a 3 wide, as there's contact there with Brandon Priest and Thomas Nieminen.
Yeah, but and Priest gets into Meesters. Rich Meesters is sent into the tyre barrels. Oh, Kevin Adrian's around too. Chaos on the first lap. Everyone manages to split like the Red Sea and avoid Kevin Adrian as Rich Meesters gets back up to speed. But 2 of our top competitors in this series already down and almost out. Priest is trying desperately to hold on to a position in the top 4 here, but Adam Meeker gets past him into Cito Pons, carries some speed on the exit as Zdenek Hamark and Barrett Brummett are side by side for P5, and Brummett will have to yield in the short term, but the next opportunity is here at Dry Sack. There's a little bit of room to the outside there as preemptively defensive goes Zdenek Hamark, and Brandon Priest gets back up the inside of the 31 of Adam Meeker, moves back into P4. Yanis Theophanopoulos leading the club classes all on his lonesome in 3rd place as Nieminen and Visser are starting to jet away, but what a fight we've got for P4 there.
Yeah, certainly I just want to point out that there's only 2 Canadian drivers in the field and both of them just ended up eating it, ladies and gentlemen. So certainly it's not good to represent the Maple Leaf on this occasion in her effort. Right now, Brandon Priest has managed to get away with that. He is indeed in P4, down 2 positions overall. But Kane Halliburton, ladies and gentlemen, we said it'd be someone to keep an eye on, and he has the exclusive privilege in this field of rocking that gold Almeida Academy livery for good reason. He's a coach and certainly showing exactly why, as he has already made his way up 8 spots and looking to make his way past Andre Sabota to make it a nice round 9.
Yes, the inside is left open and Halliburton's going to go for it into Marc Marquez, or is he? He's going to back out of it and maybe pressure Svoboda into running wide so we can get him on the exit. But well, that's just going to further complicate things because now Svoboda has the inside for turn 1. Speaking of turn 1, Niemann and Visser negotiating it for the second time, and at the moment it's appearing that Niemann and Visser have the measure of everyone else. I see that Theophanopoulos has fallen back into the clutches of Priest, Mika and company, and he's gone wide out of turn 2. That will allow Brandon Priest onto the podium.
Yeah, it looks like Adam Meek is trying to make a run for it as well, but right behind him, he's got Zdenek Hamak, and it looks like we're going to have a freeway fight now going on for P4 with more people trying to get into that mix as well. You see Barrett Brummer, despite the fact he's been here about 10 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, he's currently there in P7, gained 1 position overall, and it's definitely mixing it up in the field there. You can see 3 cars ahead of him, Zdenek Hamak, Yannis Theophanopoulos, and indeed Adam Mika. Now, Theophanopoulos has got to keep in mind his nearest club class competition is about 5 places back, ladies and gentlemen. All he needs to do is finish cleanly to get a fantastic point score. But right now, the camera car, the number 1 car of Barrett Brummer, looking to try and mix it up in this battle.
Yeah, it's Zdenek Hamak in front of him still as they make their way to the second half of this racetrack. Up the inside goes Hamak on Theophanopoulos, but Yannis, picking up the power, is able to keep it alongside into the next braking zone. He's going to just slot in behind, though. That was almost front-to-rear contact between those cars, but they've negotiated it nice and cleanly. You can really tell, though, I think Theophanopoulos is a bit of a cork in the bottle here. Since Priest made his way past, he started to jet away as well, so I think Adam Mika and Zdenek Hamak are going to have to start working together here as Priest tries his best to gain some time on our leaders who aren't battling especially hard. I've been keeping an eye on Niemann and Visser, and while Visser does have the slipstream down the straights, he hasn't been going for the moves. He's actually lifting off in a straight line, I think, as he's aware that if you're wanting to pull a move, it's best to do it on the final lap, because then your rival doesn't have a chance to slipstream back past you.
Yeah, one of the things these guys have started to learn throughout the season, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly, we knew it here in the booth, and we did wonder if they would play it in a tactical way or just go for the all-out battle. But as things start to heat up towards the climax of this championship, we're seeing a lot more strategy come into play, and Visser is aware that the more he fights Niemann now, the more people are going to come up and catch up behind him. Brandon Priest about 1.8 seconds back at the minute. Zdenek Hamak there, he's getting caught in traffic with Adam Mika. Something's happened there. Is that Theophanopoulos? Yeah, he's got a little bit of a tank slapper going. Oh my gosh, almost comes across the track there, and what an evasive move by Halliburton. Right behind him, Andre Sabota, and indeed Zoltan Zolotor looking to get in the mix as well. That could have been catastrophic for Theophanopoulos as he has now lost the club class lead. Sabota takes over that role in P9 overall.
And Mark Schmerder was the other car in the gravel trap on the exit of Cito Ponds there. He's just fallen behind Domenico Sayu down to P13. So Schmerder is certainly having an eventful race so far. In fact, Schmerder started in 12th place, and he's been trying his best to fight his way back up, but that's one more bump in the road for the German that he doesn't want to deal with. Meanwhile, Kevin Adrian, one of 2 drivers to come a cropper on lap 1, he has managed to jet up to the back of this pack, still running P14 ahead of Carlos Facagna and Rich Meesters. And look at that. You know, I'd be looking at this and licking my lips thinking of all the slipstream that I've got down the straights.
Yeah, he got an absolutely fantastic exit there, and I think Mark Schmerder could be under attack, and Adrian put the nose in and get the job done. We know Mark Schmerder has had a couple of races there where he has picked up a little bit of body contact, but on this occasion, it's Kevin Adrian with the damage on the right front corner. But Kevin Adrian, realistically, he needs to find his way through this pack. Don't get me wrong, in club class, he's in P4 right now, but Yannis Theophanopoulos, Dominic Sayu, they are just ahead. As is Andre Sabota, he could potentially regain that club class pole if he can keep keep moving through this field.
Yeah, don't forget, if you finish in 7th in this first race, it will be pole position for race 2. They seem to like the number 7 here at the Almeida Academy. It is a randomized invert for each round, but number 7 has turned up more than a few times. Steve Saunders is occupying that spot at the moment, and he seems pretty safe in the short term, but Kane Halliburton is rapidly catching him as off the track goes, I think that might have been Zomator, who opens himself up to an attack from Theophanopoulos. And up the inside will go the number 11, and Yanis is by. No, sorry, that's the position behind. The cars got a bit confusing there. That was, I believe, Mark Schmurder getting by. Hang on, who is that other car?
It's Dominic Sayu getting past Yanis Theophanopoulos. Yeah. But in your defense, they are both wearing the yellow Almeida Academy paint. So I will 100% forgive you for that. And we both know that I've definitely made a few whoopses on the names. It looks like Martin Visser has decided, you know what, I want to take the lead. Let's take a quick look at the replay of that.
All right, I believe it must have been made at Dry Sack, and indeed it was. Pokes the nose out, gets up the inside of Nieminen, and he is through, which is about as simple a move as you can afford to make there. Yanis Theophanopoulos, meanwhile, is towed back to pit lane. Looks like he's picked up a mechanical black flag somewhere along the way. Bit of a crash for the number 11. Far from ideal. We'll have a look at how that happened. And it was a turn from the car behind. Oh dear. No, he turned to the car behind and went head on into the bundles. Yeah, Domenico Sayu getting a little bit bandied about in this race, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely a little bit unfortunate there, but right now, Kane Halliburton is going to push Steve Saunders off that chosen invert grid spot, as right now he's very much hot on the heels there of Mr. Saunders. Not that the gentleman wears heels, but ladies and gentlemen, it's a turn of phrase, as right now the 303 car under a lot of pressure from the number 12. You can see the exit there for Halliburton, and he's lifted off. Actually surprising there. I thought he was going to go for it. Maybe going to try a little bit of over-under there. Certainly Kane, incredibly fast driver. I'd like to say I could give him good competition, but indeed that is not the case. Unless you put me in a TCR at Watkins Glen, I can be an obstacle, but certainly not competition, ladies and gentlemen. Defensive driver 101. I've got to say, we got a huge welcome to a few people here in the chat. We've got Jake Enns is once again cutting in, sorry. Once again, Jake Enns is indeed back on the Pit Road Productions chat, but we have a few people here on Swellio's chat as well. We've got TDR Blends, he's in there cheering on for Yanis Theophanopoulos. We've got Stuzik, and indeed we've got Corey Landia hanging out as well. Guys, welcome to the chat. By all means, keep talking. We'll keep replying.
Indeed, we will. As Halliburton has gotten by Saunders, now occupies P7. Of course, we need to keep in mind that the coaches will often disqualify themselves or send themselves to the back of the grid at the end of the race before the session officially goes official, so that they don't interfere with the racing for the students. So I think as things stand, Saunders will still have the race 2 pole, but things might turn out a little differently. We'll have to wait and see on that, as Svoboda and Zomotor fight over the 9th spot, and our leaders continue to battle as they are. Nieminen has gotten back past Martin Visser, and now, with only just under 5 minutes left in the race, this is crunch time, Zippy. This is where drivers need to be setting themselves up for those final lap moves. Brandon Priest has kept the gap nice and stable at about 1.6, 1.5 seconds or so to Visser, about 1.7 seconds to the lead. He, Hamak, and Mika will definitely be a factor if the two in front come together.
He certainly are, and don't get me wrong, he is catching up very slightly, but I have to wonder if Sadek Hammock and Adam Mika are going to be in for that battle as well. As you see there, Brandon Priest very intentionally there, going offline to try and break the draft. Now, I've got to wonder, is he on the defensive front? Like, don't get me wrong, he's got to try and defend from two drivers who we've already seen are very potent in a spec racer Ford, and indeed on the track in general. Sadek Hammock has been, without a doubt, a regular podium contender. Adam Mika occasionally making his way up to the top steps as well. But you got to wonder, is that going to be the best play? Realistically, I'd want these guys to start slipstreaming, working together, and trying to make a run for the outright win. Oh,
Yeah, now is the time where they have to get the pace up as, oh, okay, Kevin Adrian has found his way right into the middle of the fight between Zolotor and Svoboda. Oh, and that's Svoboda spinning behind, and, well, Mark Schmerder ultimately gets involved in that as well, unfortunately. Looks like Carlos Facania was able to get a couple of freebies out of that one. Just unfortunate to see. So what exactly happened here? The Spec Racer Ford is a car that really likes to oversteer on the way into corners, and, well, Schmerder got a bit of oversteer, tried to file it into the gap to the inside, but I don't think Svoboda would have seen him coming.
yeah, definitely not. He was very much along for the ride there. As Brandon Priest is now going to be under attack. Ladies and gentlemen, Zdeck Hammock is there. He's in the mix, and he's up 5 positions overall. Halliburton, the hard charger, up 12. If we exclude that, though, Carlos Facania is up 7 places from P18 up to P11.
Yeah, fantastic job from Facania to take advantage of the issues that others have suffered so far in this race. Keeping an eye on lap times, Nieminen and Visser are working together really well in the lead. They ran times in the 157.6s, 157.7s. Hamak clearly faster than Brandon Priest, and by a long way, and Adam Meek are able to get some great times down as well. Priest has been unable to really match the leaders as they go side by side again into dry sack. Hamak will get the move done on Brandon Priest, move past out of the hairpin, and Priest is using all of the curb and then some to try and keep the position here. Does he want to defend it this hard, though, and really cost them all a chance at competing for the victory? It's probably too late in the race to really have a good run at Visser and Nieminen, so they might as well turn their attentions inward.
Yeah, certainly. I think they've given up on going for the top positions there, but it looks like Adam Mika was going to try and follow Zdeck Hammock right through the mix there. There's definitely a little bit of debris there, and you can see the 27 getting a little bit loose. The 30 doing a good showering there onto the 31, as these guys are almost touching going through the center chicane.
That they are. This is looking very interesting indeed. As they come up to the final hairpin here, Priest majorly defensive. It doesn't look like Hamak or Mika were going to try and move on him there. The white flag is out, and it is going to fly for Martin Visser, who leads the race across the line. But Thomas Nieminen has been stuck with him the whole time, and the both of them have equal chance of taking victory from here. But they got to be careful not to come together and lose time, because these three are chasing.
And indeed, looks like Kevin Adrian is getting a little bit of a battle here with Zoltan Zomator as well. Don't get me wrong, he has managed to recover and make his way up to P9 for the, and not only that, for P1 for the club class, ladies and gentlemen. A good recovery there. Rich Meesters a little bit further back. Let's say fair play, Rich Meesters making it into the pro class this season. I remember when he didn't make top split, but right now, Zdeck Hammock is going up on the inside, and that's contact, ladies and gentlemen. Brandon Priest, it's almost like a taste of his own medicine from the first lap, ladies and gentlemen, as he gets pushed off, and now comes Kane Halliburton as well, and indeed does Barrett Brummett as well getting in on the action. But we are indeed going to return to the lead pack fight, ladies and gentlemen, in the closing stages of this race.
Yeah, we are indeed. That's broken up the fight for third then, and I don't think Brandon Priest is going to be too happy with how that turned out for him. But Nieminen still has a chance here to grab the win off Martin Visser. A few overtaking opportunities remaining on this layout, and I get the feeling that if I were Nieminen, I would try and reserve all of my energy for the pass into the final hairpin. That's very wide, though, on entry to Angel Nieto, and that has cost him a ton of time. Out of nowhere, Martin Visser is almost home free for the lead of the race. Let's see then through the center chicane. Keep it nice and clean. Don't run too hard over those sausage curbs, because they will destabilize the car, but it's flat out from here to the final corner. And yeah, it looks like Visser's safe at this point. The fight for third still happening as Mika and Hamak will battle into the braking zone, but out of the final corner, nothing happening for third. It's going to be Martin Visser who takes the first race of the day, winning from Thomas Nieminen. A great clean battle between those two, and Adam Mika getting onto the podium in the end after being at the center of all of that drama. Zoltan Zomator, meanwhile, almost getting back past Kevin Adrian, but Adrian is going to take the win in club, which is quite the nice turnaround from being turned around at turn 2. Rich Meesters, Carlos Facania, and Domenico Sayu there all coming across the line. We still had pretty much all of our drivers still running at the end, apart from Yanis Theophanopoulos, which is nice to see.
Yeah, certainly even Carlton Howard, he had a little bit of an incident earlier on. Is currently serving a slowdown by the look of that. He's still going to bring it across the line. Fair play to him. As, yeah, Yanis Theophanopoulos getting into that incident earlier on. But I've got to say, what a recovery there from Kevin Adrian of Martin Visser. He is definitely a happy chappy, ladies and gentlemen. As indeed, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to head to turn 1, donuts are indeed being served. But Reese, let's have a look here at the results.
Yes, Kane Halliburton black flagging himself to put himself at the back, which means this is the final finishing order. Visser, Nieminen and Mika are your podium, with Hamak and Brummett rounding out your top 5. Great debut for Barrett there. Brandon Priest finishes 6th in the end after holding on to 3rd for most of the race, and Steve Saunders, by virtue of finishing 7th, will start on pole for race 2. Take those 7 and flip them. That's your top 7 starting order for this race. Kevin Adrian is going to start where he finished in P8, leading the club class. Zoltan Zumator and Carlos Facania rounding out your top 10.
Let's have a look there. Rich Meester's got P11 with Dominic Sayu in 12th. Mark Schmerder was 13th, despite a little bit of a collision there with James Conrad coming in 14th. Philippe Masson, didn't see much of him in 15th, with Andre Sabota in 16th. Kane Halliburton with the black flag in 17th. And Carlton Howard and Yanis Theophanopoulos rounding out your 19-car grid.
Indeed, and I don't know if there's much point to going through the grid for this race, but we're going to go through the top 7 at least anyway. Steve Saunders and Brandon Priest on the front row, and that's going to be a good turnaround for Priest. He has a chance to take a win here thanks to that. Barrett, Brummett and Zdenek Hamaka on your second row, with Mika and Neiman in 5th and 6th, and then Martin Visser starts in P7 ahead of everyone else for whom we've effectively already gone through the starting order. So now, this can certainly set you up for a great end to the night, because the grid for race 3 is determined by the results of this second race. If you can find your way to the podium or possibly a win here, you're going to be starting right at the front for the final race of the day.
Indeed, certainly. You gotta wonder what's going to be the best strategy here. Me, myself, I'm just going to go and get as many positions as I possibly can. But I gotta say, Kevin Adrian, what an absolutely fantastic recovery there. It didn't look good at the start. Certainly the Canadian drivers had a very rough first lap. But, you know, this is an opportunity right now. If he can make his way up, this could be a fantastic point soar. Don't get me wrong. We're getting called out by Jake Enns in the chat saying he's definitely got to go to Premier Class next season. I agree with you, but certainly at this point in the game, let's see if he can get it over the threshold first. Certainly, he's had definitely a varied amount of races here in the Almeida Racing Academy. Some have been fantastic. Others, he's just honestly had the only luck he's had is bad luck, ladies and gentlemen. And speaking of which, actually, let's give a little bit of a shout out. Edwin Rivera, he's going away as a skiing instructor, I believe. So certainly we are indeed thinking of you and missing you, sir. And Cairo Enns, where are you this week? It'd certainly be good to have you back as well.
Yeah, for sure. And not to mention our championship leader, Ian Joyner, is not here this week either. So we are missing quite a few of our top drivers here today, but hopefully they'll all be back next week for the final round at Winton Motor Raceway. Pace car pulls away, and we'll get ready for the start of race 2. 15 minutes start to finish once again. And there's really not much more to say regarding how the race is going to play out. It's a sprint, and so the drivers will be trying to work together as best they can to keep the draft train up, try and avoid mistakes, because that will break up the field and potentially rob not just you but everyone around you of a chance at fighting for that podium. Brandon Priest will be thinking about the outside line of Cito Pons for a while, I think, which is where his run at a podium unfortunately ended in race 1, though he did still finish in 6th. Let's see what he can do here. There's Stephen Saunders will be the one leading us to the green flag. Through Marc Marquez corner we come. A lot of speed can be taken through that hairpin. Out of the final corner they come, and it looks like Saunders has decided to go early. He's caught everybody out, not least everyone behind Brandon Priest there. Priest is going to run 3rd across the line to start the race, and Barrett Brummett finds himself in P2. Protecting the inside is Brandon Priest, just avoiding contact between Zdenek Hamak and Adam Mika there as they sorted themselves out for the top 5. Rich Meesters up the inside of Thomas Nieminen, manages to get past into P8. That's the view from Brandon Priest's perspective. He finds himself in third again. And how long can Stephen Saunders hold back the pack here? That is a lot less apex speed from Barrett Brummett than let alone Priest was expecting. I was expecting too. And Priest now has a bit of damage to his front end potentially. The front wheels lifted off the ground there. I'm surprised he managed to hold on to that.
Yeah, to be honest, on the damage side, he's definitely got a bit on the left front corner, ladies and gentlemen. But fair play, he got away, well, quite cleanly. Maybe a tooth missing there. It's not stopping him. Lifted off behind Martin Visser. As further back, we see Thomas Niemann in there trying to get into the mix. Kevin Adrian's going up towards his tailpipe there. But right now, battles happening throughout the grid. And I do have to wonder, can Steve Saunders try and find an opportunity to pull away from this field? Fair play to him. He's going to have to work incredibly hard. The gentleman himself has got Zdenek Kamak right behind him. And indeed, debut round here for Barrett Brummett, but what can he do? Can he make a podium on his first round here at the Almeida Racing Academy? He's got a little bit deep there, and it opens the door for Adam Mika, making his way on the inside in the number 31.
Yeah, ultimately a clean pass in the end, but Brummett maybe not too familiar with the behavior of this car. This is his first round of the league after all, so you know, we don't have all the information we could possibly have on him, but we do know this is the first time we're seeing him, and so there's a fair chance he might be having some car troubles in the infamously finicky spec racer Ford. Andre Svoboda, meanwhile, leads the battle for position not last, 15th. Ahead of Carlton Howard, Yanis Theophanopoulos, Philippe Masson, and Mark Schmerder. All 19 cars still running here as they make their way down the straight. Zdenek Kamak moves past Saunders and into the lead.
Yeah, certainly a good pass there. I have a feeling he may have a smidge of damage on that right front, but I'm not entirely sure. Certainly Zdenek Kamak's paint has caught the better of me on more than one occasion. But right now, Steve Saunders, while he may have lost the lead, if he can stay behind Zdenek Kamak, I think this could be a good opportunity for him. He's always been quick in a spec racer Ford, and he's only got better. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to go faster, you've got to be a part of the Almeida Racing Academy there, as we see Brandon Priest taken to the stand once again. Ladies and gentlemen, he is absolutely pushing that car as hard as he can, maybe a little bit beyond the limit indeed, which could be certainly cause him a few issues. As off he goes again, ladies and gentlemen, and Zoltan Zomator makes his way up on the inside.
Up to P6 then for Zomator, and it looks like Rich Meesters is going to have a go at Brandon Priest as well there, as Barrett Brummett and Martin Visser go side by side in the hairpin, and my goodness, Meesters, how is he keeping that on the track? That was so deep at Drysack. He will fall behind Thomas Niemann then, and back to 9th place. But for the moment, this is looking like a bit of a less clear race than race one, as it looks like there was some contact there. Kamak and Saunders have fallen back, and Saunders goes for a spin and ends up in the gravel trap. My goodness, this has just changed the face of this race here. I am not entirely sure what happened to Zdenek Kamak there. Did he lose the rear? Yeah, he lost the rear and the left-hander before that, and that lost all momentum for him. Saunders tried to make his way around him, and unfortunately, Barrett Brummett was there, and it seems 3 wide, not entirely expected. Saunders is now at the back of the pack after starting from pole.
Yeah, that's definitely unfortunate. I feel honestly he got the unlucky end of the stick there. He was on the inside of a 3 wide scenario and sadly ended up coming a cropper for it. Certainly, I think that's why Rich Meesters ran incredibly right. It was a 3 wide scenario, and he said, "No, thank you, not for me. I'll take the scenic route," which fair play to him. But right now, Thomas Niemann, he did indeed get into it in the last race. Can he do it again? As he's currently in P5. He's got Zoltan Zomator. He's an ARA regular, ladies and gentlemen. He's up there in P4, and it looks like they're starting to break away very slightly at the front of the track. Martin Visser and Adam Mika are going to be duking it out for the top spot on the podium. But that's to say, if Brandon Priest can get a move on and bring these drivers with him, we're going to see potentially a 10-car fight for P1.
That we are, and well, the fight is still going on there between Zomator and Niemann ahead of Rich Meesters, who's going to try and go through the middle here. 3 wide on the way into the hairpin. Nice and late on the brakes and is first to the apex, but can Niemann hold on around the outside? If you can position yourself right through that corner, you really get a great launch around the outside on the exit, and it turns out he's used it to its full effect, moving past Rich Meesters there. As it seems, we're getting a bit of a mirror image of race 1 now. Brandon Priest in third with no slipstream, struggling to keep up with our leaders.
Yeah, certainly it's been a bit of a rough day there for Priestess. I think he just tipped another wheel there. I have to wonder just how much sand is he going to kick up on the track, ladies and gentlemen. I feel bad for the guy. I feel like we're roasting him a little bit there, but I mean, we say it how we call it, ladies and gentlemen, but right now he is leading this pack of 3 cars. He's holding on to the podium. Are we going to see him be able to make his way forward? Right now, the gap between himself and indeed Martin Visser is about 1.7 seconds, but it's not just that you got to worry about. It's the onslaught of cars he's bringing with him as well.
Yes, including Meesters, Zomator, Adrian, who leads the club class. Carlos Facania has moved up to P8 and second in club. It's been a great drive from him so far. And in fact, that's something that I've noticed from Facania pretty much all season. He often has a slow start to the day of racing, but his pace just increases as the event goes on, and he's able to take advantage of mistakes from others and move himself up. He could be a contender here.
Oh, very much so. As it looks like Zomator is definitely not holding back today. He's got himself and Rich Meesters alongside. Now, we do know that Kevin Adrian and Rich Meesters have almost a little bit of a gentleman's agreement there. Not necessarily as teammates, but just trying to, you know, be aware of each other and just try and help each other to a certain point if they can there. And right now, Zomator, he's going to be in the middle of that. Now, don't get me wrong, both Canadian drivers did get wiped out on lap 1 of the first race. Can they work together to potentially move themselves up through the grid on this occasion, as Carlos Picania is going to have a new contender right behind him? Ladies and gentlemen, the Academy coach has entered the mix. It's Kane Halliburton.
It is indeed. Halliburton once again finding himself inside the top 10, only a few laps into the race, and he's going to have to try and pick his moves, because these cars being as close together as they are, it can be very difficult to make those moves, keep it clean, and still maintain the gap to the cars ahead. But see the speed he carries into these corners. It's incredibly difficult to actually keep the momentum up through that double right-hander. They're effectively a single corner, just judging by the racing line, but it can be difficult to find the specific point to lift off the power and get your front end tucked in. That's one of the big challenges in the Spec Racer Ford. We often talk about how difficult it is to control the rear end in this thing, but it's just as easy to get a lot of understeer.
Very much so. A lot of it comes down to the setup as well. Certainly, I can remember the Spec Racer Ford back in the days before it had like a major update, and the thing used to be absolutely terrifying to drive, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, it did get a lot more stable, but certainly myself, I've always enjoyed it. If anything, I actually preferred it when it was more of a pain to drive. But right now, we're going to have a quick look here at the front and the back, as Adam Mika is leading us, as he's gone a little bit wide there. This could be a huge opportunity for Martin Visser. Doesn't capitalize on it right now, but in all of the melee, Thomas Niemanen has brought the gap down to 0.7 of a second. It's now going to potentially be a 4-way fight unless Rich Meesters can find a little bit more pace himself, and Kevin Adrian, Zoltan Zomator, Carlos Facania, Kane Halliburton, and indeed Dominic Sayu are all within a drafting range. Ladies and gentlemen, if they can keep pushing hard, we could see a 10-car fight for the lead as Visser makes his way up on the inside.
All right, inside move, well, racing line move, let's call it, into the hairpin. He was able to move right in front of Mika before the braking zone. So now our top 4 are truly together. Great exit from Drysack for Niemanen, and Priest is more than content to follow him in. I've noticed a couple of times, Visser in particular, he tends to leave his turn in very late on a lot of these big sweepers, and it does work when you're on your own. You're able to carry more speed at the apex, straight line the exit, and carry a lot of speed down the following straight. But when you've got cars right behind you, they're just going to see a door open and walk right through it.
Yeah, certainly it's, you got to think about the car behind you as well. As you're saying, Reese, 100%. As soon as happened with Steve Saunders, he had a little bit of a whoops there. It's telling me that he has indeed had an incident currently at the back of the grid anyway. So poor Steve, we're going to leave him in peace, but I definitely feel for him. He was caught so unlucky in that scenario. Such a gentleman, and sadly was not treated like one.
Yeah, I think that sums it up, really. Yeah, Saunders just flat out unlucky in that incident. But there is still a round of the series to go, so let's hope he's there and fighting. The lead battle tightens up here, and Niemanen is the new holder of the fastest lap, down to the 157.3s now for ultimate pace around here with the slipstream. So Let's see how interesting this gets here. Cito Pons, the sweeping right-hander coming up, has been one of the key points of the lap in this event. As you see, once again, very wide on entry for Martin Visser, but he gets it to the apex in time to keep Adam Mika behind. He's going to try and break the draft early and go defensive. He doesn't want to lose the lead now. He knows that Nieminen and Priest are right there with them. It's not just a case of a two-horse race like it was between himself and Nieminen in race 1.
Well, I can see here we got TDR Blends in the chat. Yeah, he raced in the F3 and I'm sure I accidentally got Kane Halliburton more than once, haha, with a winky face. So certainly this guy, it's almost like taking on the house robot, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, you've got to keep an eye out. Kane Halliburton, soon to be dubbed Sir Killalot, ladies and gentlemen. That's not quite fair, I'll be honest, but certainly, it has the same kind of almost intimidation, ladies and gentlemen. If you go against an academy coach, they are a coach for a damn good reason. They are incredibly potent, ladies and gentlemen. And indeed, Kane Halliburton currently up there on his own right now, but in P8, ladies and gentlemen, up 9 positions and currently running a 58 flat for his best lap.
Yes, 58.9 though on the previous lap, so he's had a couple of whoopsies somewhere along the way. Side by side between Kevin Adrian and Rich Meesters. The two Canadians will continue their side-by-side run through the final corner, but Meesters is going to be the one that gets out of the corner first, and it seems Adrian is going to lift off ever so slightly, let him go, but that brings Zoltan Zomator into the fight. This is the battle for 5th, and could Zomator get into it as Adrian will make it briefly 3 wide behind Meesters there. He's going to try and keep Zomator behind. For the moment, it looks like it's worked.
Well, fair play. Let's have a little bit of a look further back. It's Dominic Sayu and indeed Carlos Facania are fighting it out for the club class second place. It's the battle between second and third. Yanis Fiapanopoulos, you can see him just in the tail end of that shot there. He's about 1.3 seconds behind him. If these guys keep fighting, he will indeed get a chance at a club class podium, ladies and gentlemen. But how is it going to end up going? We indeed have 2.5 minutes left of this race. Time is running out. How's things going to happen at the front of the pack? Martin Visser currently leading. Adam Mika in second. Brandon Priest and Nieminen all looking to try and time their moves. I think that right now, Nieminen probably trying to get himself up to second place to try and slingshot the leader in the closing stage of this race. But Brandon Priest going side by side says, no thank you, I'll take that spot.
They need to be very careful not to let Visser get away. They can't let him get the gap out to more than a few car lengths, otherwise they will lose the slipstream and they won't have a chance at all to fight for the win. They need to just work together a little bit here in these last few corners and set themselves up for the fight on the final lap. This has been a really good night of racing thus far. The action has come very steadily. And Eaton still holding on to P7. Kane Halliburton on the top. Adrian on Zomator. Priest has a brief little look up the inside there, coming in.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you can see here there is indeed
these drivers is going to be ahead the next time they come.
There's a fantastic battle going on right now at the front of the grid, ladies and gentlemen. Just give us a second here. My co-host, definitely we want to hear more of him, but right now you can see Martin Visser is at the front of this pack, but can Adam Mika do anything to contend that? As right behind him is Brandon Priest. He's currently down 1 position. He started in second. Nieminen is up 2. Rich Meesters is up indeed 6 and has managed to pull away from Kevin Adrian by about 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. But indeed, these guys are going to be fighting towards the closing stage of this race. Visser, an incredibly potent driver here in the Almeida Racing Academy, has took to a spec racer forward like a duck to water, like a pig to a slaughterhouse, ladies and gentlemen. And ladies and gentlemen, that bacon tastes good. But right now, can Mika find his way ahead? Is Brandon Priest going to make it 3 wide as these guys are making their way down towards the right-hander?
Yes, indeed they are. Sorry about that, having some internet problems. Visser to the lead and banging wheels with Adam Mika. Gently does it. Let's keep it going nicely here, almost 3 wide, and Brandon Priest is probably the best place to these guys. He can pick the fight and keep himself in that fight for sure. Look at the run that he gets out of the left-hander. He's going to go for it on Adam Mika there. Mika a little deep, almost gets into the back of Visser, who's going to start streaking away now, and Priest and Mika will still hold it side by side, and Visser is gone again. Nieminen is going to keep himself right here for P3, side by side with Adam Mika, but Mika gets to the apex of the left-hander first, and he is out and home free unless Nieminen can somehow find 200% braking power on that Spec Racer Ford. It leaves Martin Visser alone out in front to take another win here today. Fantastic job from the Dutchman. He has dominated so far.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic stuff there by Martin Visser. Brandon Priest will indeed take second with Mika in third. Neiman, honestly, nowhere he could go further back, but Rich Meester's able to come along. Kevin Adrian once again gets a club class win. Ladies and gentlemen, the man is on fire in the last 2 rounds, and oh my gosh, he's had the car on Neiman in there. Had a little bit of front-end damage, but we are getting a little bit of a shout-out for Dominic Sayu as the best paint on the grid, ladies and gentlemen. That's courtesy of J-Ken's. Carlos Picagna not able to hold on. He actually dropped back a little bit there. He was getting into a battle earlier on. It looks like he had a little bit of an off-track. Let's see if we can catch that quickly during the closing stages of this race.
Yeah, so Carlos Picagna, who had made his way up into the top 10 at one point, unfortunately, way out into the gravel trap. And ultimately lost those positions quite easily, thanks to the lack of pace there. Well, that's going to be the results for race 2. Martin Visser takes victory again. This time, Brandon Priest joins him on the podium, and Adam Mika finishes in 3rd place from 5th. Very impressive run. Thomas Nieminen finishes 4th in the end, though he could have been one of those contenders. Rich Meesters, from the lows of race 1 to the highs of P5, finishes ahead of Kevin Adrian, who takes the win in club. Zomator Hamak and Brummett 7th, 8th, and 9th, and Domenico Sayu a distant 2nd in club in P10.
As you have a look there, P11 was Yanis Fiapanopoulos with Carlos Picagna, able to get P12. Philip Basson made his way up a little bit higher this time. He was in 13th with Mark Schmerder in 14th. Colin Howard took 15th with James Conrad in 16th. Steve Saunders, honestly, my sympathies to you, sir. He's there at 17th with Andres Sabota in 18th. And Kane Halliburton giving himself a preemptive end of line with a black flag. Closes out your 19-car grid.
Indeed, he does. Well, here we are in warm-up. Here we are with a chance to take a breather. We're going to give the stage to Suelio Almeida for about 30 seconds.
If you're a racing driver and you want to reach an advanced level, there's a faster and easier way to become competitive. I've gone from this to this in 5 years. Now, we've created the perfect free driver development guide to help you understand the right order of racing skills to develop if you want to become a competitive driver as quickly as possible. This guide was made after 3,000 hours of combined high-level coaching.
Huge thanks to Suelio Almeida and the whole crew at the Almeida Racing Academy for putting this series on and bringing us on at Pit Road Productions to help bring it to the world. Of course, Suelio's rise has been pretty amazing to see. He started out as a sim racer like all of us and did a bit of competitive driving in the real world, but his real life career really ramped up after he started seeing success in sim racing. He now makes multiple appearances in IMSA in the TCR class in particular, which is really awesome to see. So keep an eye out for him in the future. Keep an eye out for more of the Almeida Racing League here on Pit Road Productions in futures to come, potentially. We shall see who ends up taking the final win of tonight here, Zippy. Well, tonight for me. Middle of the day for everyone in the Americas.
I'm going to just say in Canada as well. Indeed, the eastern, wrong end, western side of the world. Oh, I do want to actually random thought. Where did we decide the middle of the world is? Because realistically, the thing's a circle. There is no middle. Unless you're going to go to the Earth score. Whole different tangent, ladies and gentlemen. But indeed, I want to talk very quickly about the Almeida Racing Academy 3.0. Ladies and gentlemen, the big launch was indeed for Black Friday. There is currently a sale going on as well. If you want to race in this league, make your way onto Pit Road Productions. There is only one way to do it. You must be a league member. And indeed, it's no longer done where you buy the individual course. It doesn't work like that anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, the value has got even better. You pay a monthly fee and you got access to everything. If you want to do that, you got to check it out. SwellioAlmeida.com. Get in on there. If you want to get faster, if you want to compete with some of these drivers, and indeed, you know, he doesn't just do sim racing coaching as well. He does real world coaching, ladies and gentlemen. Real world race drivers. Get Swellio to coach him. It does happen. And indeed, Connor Bell as well, one of the coaches. He did his NASCAR Canada debut and went and got podiums, ladies and gentlemen. It is absolutely incredible. There is some very high quality staff here at the Almeida Racing Academy. And there's only one way you can be involved. You've got to be a member, ladies and gentlemen. By all means, check out SwellioAlmeida.com and indeed take advantage. Ladies and gentlemen, we love Swellio, but take advantage of that Black Friday sale to get in, and believe there is a discount if you do it yearly as well. You can save a little bit overall, but definitely a huge thank you to Swellio for bringing us this fantastic league, and indeed a thank you to the sponsors as well: Logitech, Podium One, and indeed World of Racing.
Yes, all long-time supporters of this league. And we also broadcast the Podium One Zone Series, their fixed GT3 league, on Monday nights. So if you want to head on over to the Pit Road Productions YouTube channel and chuck us a subscribe, you'll get an alert when we are next ready to run. So let's have a look then, as warm-up is about to end. We'll find our way to a pole position for Martin Visser. He has won both races so far tonight. Could he even go for a three-peat at the Circuito de Jerez? That is the big question. Well, we'll see in just a few seconds' time. Warm-up is over, and we'll get ready for 20 more minutes of green flag racing at the Circuito de Jerez Angel Nieto, here in Jerez de la Frontera, famous for its sherry. I do like me a fortified wine or two on a Friday night, possibly 3 or 4 or 5 even. I do like them very much. You won't see me much without my port or sherry. Martin Visser is going to start on pole for the final race of the day. Brandon Priest alongside him, with Adam Meeker and Thomas Niemanen on the second row. Rich Meesters starts alongside Kevin Adrian, who is also pole in club. Zoltan Zomator and Zdenek Hamak 7th and 8th. Then it's Barrett Brummett out of 9th, still looking for that podium that we're potentially going to.
And you see there, Dominic Sayu is going to round out your top 10. Yanis Fiafanopoulos, he's going to be there in P11 with Carlos Picania alongside in 12th. Philip Masson is there in 13th with Mark Schmoeder in 14th. Carlton Howard taking 15th with James Conrad in 16th. Steve Saunders, unlucky for him, he's there in 17th with Andre Sabota alongside in 18th. And then Kane Halliburton starting once again at the back of the grid, as these drivers are currently on the warm-up lap. I've got to say, fantastic stuff, and a good referral from Jan Janchik, who is usually here racing, but is currently out of town this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. He is saying that definitely recommend Almeida Academy. Help me heaps. I'm currently 34 iRating away from 3,000. Ladies and gentlemen, indeed, iRating is a fickle friend. It is incredibly difficult to find your way up there, indeed. And we've got to see here, Jake Enns here having a comment as well. He's just saying he's just asked Cairo just how helpful the academy has been. That's definitely fair. Certainly, Jake Enns, I'd actually love to see you in a sim, but we're going to get this race underway. The final one of the day, ladies and gentlemen, and it's going to be Martin Visser taking it away. You can see here, Visser is there in the lead right now. Adam Meeker in second, and they're going too wide there for third. It looks like Rich Meese is going in a little bit of a battle there with Brandon Priesters right behind him to get back into single file as quickly as possible. With Zoltan Zomator now, he's going to be on the inside line here as they do indeed start the battle. Kevin Adrian on the outside, and right behind him, Barrett Brummett trying to make some moves. Adrian's down 2 spots so far at the start. Halliburton 2 spots gained as well. Just keeping an eye on our coaches. But right now, is it going to be a battle of strategy, ladies and gentlemen, as these guys are starting into single file, as I'm potentially going to see a 3-wide scenario further back. Not quite. Barrett Brummett applying a good amount of pressure there to the back of clock pass leader Kevin Adrian. And I can see here Jake N saying that he could indeed do the pace car as long as it is fully automated. Fair play to you, sir. But right now, Barrett Brummett is indeed getting into the mix. You see Kevin Adrian on the defensive line there, applying a good amount of pressure. He's got Zoltan Zomator ahead. Just how hard does he want to fight? They want to make sure they try and stay in context with the lead pack, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like Halliburton has made his way past Carlton Howard, or not quite, as we got a huge free wide scenario. This can't end well, but indeed they have all made it round. Ladies and gentlemen, Carlton Howard, Kane Halliburton and James Conrad there get into a mix, and oh dear, we had a feeling that would occur. Halliburton sadly gets the short straw. Definitely free wide round there. I guess worked for a little while, but not able to hold on as Dominic Sayu takes the sand as well. As they continue to battle, Martin Visser is indeed leading the pack with Adam Mika there in second. I've got to say, Adam Mika having a good drive today so far. But looks like Thomas Niemanen now is going to be going side by side with Rich Mises, ladies and gentlemen. As indeed, right behind him is Zdenek Hammock trying to get in on the mix as well. Mises going to be on the outside as to make their way down towards the start-finish straight. And indeed, these guys are battling, but thankfully able to stay there with the lead as well. Reese, welcome back.
Yes, welcome back to me indeed. My internet is on the fritz. My apologies for that. But Visser, Mika, Priest, Niemanen, and Meesters. Oh, hello. Up the inside as Zdenek Hammock is sent very wide in the first corner, all the way to the back of this fight then. Man, Hammock had a pretty good race 1, but unfortunately it's not entirely going his way in races 2 and 3. Contact with Meesters in the first corner.
I've got to say, absolutely fantastic save, though, from the driver of the number 27. He caught that beautifully, but right now, Zoltan Zomator, he's got the likes of Kevin Adrian breathing down his neck right behind him. These guys have had some good battles in the past. Zomator not wanting to back off, as you can see there. Podium 1, well-placed livery there. Kevin Adrian looking to try and make his way up and ahead as they're going to go side by side, making their way down towards the right-hander. Indeed, Adrian, he's been absolutely on form today. Can he keep it going? Leading the club class here in Split 1. Does he potentially secure the championship before the end of this round? Certainly that is the Reese question. I'm not one for points, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, though, Martin Visser is indeed got Adam Mika breathing down his neck, fighting for the top of the race.
They are indeed, and Brandon Priest, once again, a factor in the podium fight, as he has all day so far. Let's see what he can do then, as that's quite far off the track there for Niemanen, pushing the limits of those strips of painted asphalt on the outside of the racetrack. This is a motorcycle circuit, so sensibly they have a couple of extra strips either side of the track in a lot of places, just to allow the riders to recover if they run a little bit wide. In a car, it certainly provides you a lot of real estate to make potential moves. Not to the inside of the final corner, though. Hammock just has to deal with the curb there as he tries to find his way past Barrett Brummett. Contact on the exit.
Yeah, certainly these guys are definitely getting the elbows out, and honestly, it's one of the things I do want to set up. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know if you'd be interested in this. Pit Road Productions doing a one-off race where there is no incident limit, there is no damage. Oh dear! Well, that'd be good for Zdenek Hammock right now. That would definitely help him in this scenario, as he indeed picked up damage, and I got a feeling he may indeed tow from that scenario. Or indeed, he's not even moving. Nope, he towed. Yeah, never mind, ladies and gentlemen. Never mind. Not the result he was looking for.
No, certainly not. And he is going to end his night on a bit of a low, unfortunately. But all the same, still a round to go. Still an opportunity to get another couple of wins before the season ends. Zoltan Zomator, meanwhile, trying to do the slipstream jobby here on Kevin Adrian, as they are literally driving into the sun at the moment. Move made, meanwhile, for the lead. Visser and Mika continuing to fight here as Brandon Priest watches on from not a huge distance, but a distance nonetheless. This will be an interesting fight for the lead, especially with the extra 5 minutes tacked onto this race.
Indeed, and I got a feeling Brandon Priest is going to play tactically here. As you see Niemanen there lurking in the background, he's about 1.5 seconds behind this pack. There's indeed a couple of drivers there. Don't get me wrong, I know it's sunny in Spain, but I don't think it's quite warm enough to take to the beach. Speaking of which, let's see what kind of track temperature we got over here, Reese.
Let me get that information for you now. 23 Celsius. So, yeah, quite cool. It is November, of course, in Europe, both in the real world and in the sim, which means that we're starting to get into the depths of winter. And in Spain, it is obviously less snowy than in other countries. It's still quite a dry country, but it does get a bit crisp, as we see side by side between Kevin Adrian and Rich Meesters. And here comes Zoltan Zomator to split the Canadians down the middle. Which of them is going to get out of turn one in one piece? Adrian defensive to the inside, and Zomator gets the move done on Meesters. But Barrett Brummett is right there as well. He's got a great view of all this as well. Slight oversteer on the way in there for Zomator, and Meesters just avoids getting into him. Just enough room given and not an inch more.
I gotta admit, that was definitely done on skill, not by luck, that one. You can see he saw like, oh, the door is open. I'm just going to sneak in there, and fair play to him. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Barrett Brummett, though, I got a feeling he's going to start getting into this mix as well. We got a fantastic battle going on here for indeed P4 overall. Sorry, P5 overall, ladies and gentlemen. Thomas Niemann, and he's kind of on his own right now between the two packs. It looks like Zomator keen and fighting to get ahead of Adrian. It looks like Barrett Brummett's made his way past Meesters as well.
Yeah, Rich Meesters has fallen back quite a bit in the last few corners. Very curious, but he's still in contention in that slipstream pack. And speaking of slipstream packs, Brandon Priest has moved past Adam Meeker, and he's now sensing the fight for victory on his hands here, but was still a couple of minutes away from the halfway point of this race. He needs to pick his battles, make sure that he stays in contention without ruining it for himself. They are pushing so hard on the exit of that corner, particularly Nieminen, who's trying his damnedest to chase them down. Kevin Adrian will lead this pack for fifth. Zomator and Meesters almost coming together, and just like that, it's brought Fakanya, Schmurder, Halliburton, and Saunders into the fight for P5.
Well, I've got to say, I'm really hoping Saunders can get into this fight here. As you see Carlos Picania there having a little bit of a battle there with Mark Schmurder. Now, I've got to say, Mark Schmurder, I feel a little bit bad for saying it, but very often we see your car carrying damage. Right now, it's looking clean, though. Mark, keep it up. That's the result we are indeed looking for. But saying that, he's got a new challenge, indeed, the House Robot. I'm sorry, Kane. Kane Hallerman has made his way to the mix as well. He started at the back of the pack. He's currently up 8 positions. Steve Saunders up 5, the hard charger. If you exclude the coaches, the side-by-side is Rich Meesters and Barrett Brummett. Brummett, despite being a late join to the Almeida Racing Academy, is absolutely fighting for everything he's got, ladies and gentlemen. But the whole time, it looks like Brummett has indeed made it so Mark Schmurder, Carlos Facania, Kane Halliburton, and Steve Saunders can rejoin this battle as well.
This is a great fight, and the side-by-side is going to keep going between Brummett and Meesters. Meesters getting the run round the outside on the exit, very nice to see. And Brummett's going to yield, but he's still got Mark Schmurder to think about, who got a great exit out of Cito Ponds, and he sees the door open to the inside for Drysack. Can he get up the inside of Meesters as well? Not quite, but that was very close to contact. Fakanya is right in the middle of all of this. He's got Saunders and Halliburton trying to catch up to him, got Meesters and Schmurder battling ahead, and Zoltan Zomator and Kevin Adrian having a great time with this. They're probably seeing all of this happen in their mirrors and thinking, yes, thank you very much. Now we can just focus on each other, maybe work together to catch up.
I always feel like this is a prom dance at this point, Reese. Like, if you don't have a partner to play with, it's not going to be as much fun, and that certainly seems to be the case here. As indeed, Zoltan Zomator and Kevin Adrian are certainly, I don't think I'd call it the tango, ladies and gentlemen, but they are indeed mixing up some moves there. Rich Meese is trying to get up with the pack as well. They're currently about 0.6 of a second back. I feel sorry for Niemann. He's currently a billion mates doing his own thing in P4 overall. Further up through the field, though, Adam Meeker just about hanging on to the back of this pack as well. He's got Brandon Priest ahead, and there he goes, Martin Visser. I'm going to say that was weaving on the straight, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sure I agree with that. Yeah, can't defend you on that one there, Martin.
Regardless, he'll stay into the lead and no harm done on the way into the first corner. Meanwhile, this fight continuing to rage on. Everyone looking for their own little bit of real estate, as Saunders is trying to make the move on Halliburton. Unsuccessful in the short term, but there's all the potential in the world for him to make up a few positions here. Remember, he started from pole for race 2 and managed to hold on to it nicely. Halliburton, I think that's not a slowdown from Halliburton. I think he might have just messed up the exit of turn 2 there.
Yeah, certainly. I'm looking through the event log, and I can't see any reason why he would have let him by just on like a courtesy kind of thing if they'd had a little bit of contact, perhaps. I mean, I got no off-track warnings either as well. But indeed, let's have a quick look further up here as Rich Meisters and Zoltan Zomator and Kevin Adrian now, they're going to make it, potentially 3 wide there. Meisters able to get ahead there of Zomator now. I do have to wonder, these two gentlemen here, Kevin Adrian and Rich Meisters, are they going to be communicating throughout this race? Are they going to work together here? Certainly, Kevin Adrian is indeed leading the club class. Meisters, Zomator, Schmerder, and Barrett are all in the Premier class, ladies and gentlemen. Realistically, as long as Kevin Adrian can have a clean race, he is sat pretty because his next nearest competition is indeed Carlos Facania, who is part of this pack, though, albeit at the back of it, but Steve Saunders trying to catch up as well.
Yeah, I keep looking at this train and thinking, how have they managed to hold on in this pack for this long? As that's a big move from Facania at the chicane there. Has a go at the corner named for the racing hero of Brazil, Ayrton Senna. And, well, he wasn't able to get it done, but he's certainly showing that he can fight.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of a twist though. I wasn't expecting that either, and I don't think Barrett Brummett was either. That's like, whoop, sorry, you're going here now? Okay, all right then. As Rich Meisters is indeed trying to pull away, and yep, I'm going to say that is definitely 100%. There's some bump drafting going on, ladies and gentlemen, trying to find their way away from the 53 car. Certainly 53. Shout out, ladies and gentlemen. Herbie, if you're not a Volkswagen fan, that is reason enough alone to like a Volkswagen. Indeed, Herbie was. This sounds so childish, but I would love a car like Herbie. It drives itself. Sorry, Elon. Herbie did it first, and indeed, it's got personality. But we're going to move on, ladies and gentlemen. As right now, Martin Visser, Brandon Priest, and Adam Mika are still there, pulling away. Niemanen on his own. Kevin Adrian, though, leading pretty much the rest of the field there. This is P5 all the way back to P12, ladies and gentlemen. 7 cars in the mix.
Yeah, crazy fighting. Visser moves past Priest for the lead, and it looks like Zomator's going to have a go at Meisters here for P6. Meisters has been holding on to that position for a while, and Zomator's going to try his best to stick up the inside here, but he's forced to slow up in the mid-corner as Meisters puts the power down. What little power there is in a spec racer Ford, it is enough to keep the position around the outside of dry sack once again. I love that hairpin just for that. It looks like a simple enough corner from the air. Oh.
Wiggle.
Oh, I see. Barely perceptible wiggle, apparently. I missed it. Zoltan Zomator apparently starting to get a little crossed up here as Meisters now starts to pull away. Schmerder, Brummett, Facania, Saunders, and Halliburton all right on the back of him. That's deep there from Brummett, and that sends Schmerder off in the chicane. Schmerder's bad luck continuing there, but that's really compressed the end of the pack. Steven Saunders is going to try to move past Carlos Facania there, and he will have the inside for the final corner. Barrett Brummett wide on the way through, still trying to assess the damage to the number 1 as that's Schmerder spinning out of the final corner. Oh man, and he is already out. I really feel for Mark. He certainly has a lot of skill behind him, but he's often on the wrong side of those incidents. 3 wide into turn 1. Brummett in the middle is going to be the first out of the corner, but Facania right up the inside, and Saunders surely not going to try and make a 3 wide there. They both somehow make the apex.
Oh, I had a feeling in defence there of Mark Schmerder, we did see him get 1 tap from Brummett. I had a feeling that Schmerder went and ended up getting another one from him as well. So certainly there may be a little bit of rivalry between the driver of the number 1 car and indeed the number 19 there. I have a feeling these two are not going to be on the Christmas card list from each other, ladies and gentlemen. Kane Halliburton is showing me has had an incident as well. Let's see what happened to the Academy. Oh my gosh, Almeida Racing Academy coach.
So, all of this was happening in front of him. The 3 wide between Facania,
he just
Brummett, and... Yeah, okay. So it looks like he just had enough. So, Kane Halliburton will take no further part in this event. And I suppose that leaves everyone else open to fight for these positions now without the threat of the coach being right behind them. Let's keep an eye out then for any further developments. We are into the final 5 minutes of the day and still plenty of positions to work out. Our top 3 is still not sorted. 6th place is not sorted either. This we're looking at here is the fight for 9th now.
Well, indeed, Philippe Masson has managed to make his way to this pack as well. Good news for him. Dominic Sayu, I have a feeling, got caught in an incident earlier. He's currently about 3 seconds back, but this is a good opportunity here for Philippe Masson. He's currently in P3 in the club class with Carlos Ficagna just about a couple of seconds ahead. 2 cars, ladies and gentlemen. He can see him from his cockpit. That's a green and yellow car ahead. But the problem for him, Steve Saunders in the way, ladies and gentlemen. So certainly he's going to have to find his way there. A little bit of oversteer there. You can just see the car starting to get a good rotation. But Masson is in an absolutely fantastic spot here to try and secure some more points. Barrett Mummett at the front there, definitely carrying damage. But despite that, still able to lead this pack as a little bit of a wiggle there going down into the braking zone.
Yes, sort of half defending, half maybe still trying to assess the damage to the car. Maybe he has bent steering, not entirely sure, but regardless, I think that contact did affect the handling of Brummett's car. Back to the battle for the lead then, and no surprise to see that Visser goes immediately to the far right of the back straight to defend from Brandon Priest, and Priest is going to carry a lot of momentum into the corner, but not quite able to carry it out of it. Visser will stay ahead just for these last few corners, and I have to wonder, with only 3 minutes left in the race, does this mean that the next lap is going to be the final lap? We'll have to put a pin in that and keep an eye out.
Indeed we will, as this case in getting an incredible battle as well. It's all fighting for the top 3, ladies and gentlemen. Exactly what we want to see. As we have a look a bit further back though, Kevin Adrian, he's going to have to defend as well. Rich Meese is there, Zoltan Zomentor. These 3 guys have been pretty much inseparable today. The 3 of them getting into an absolutely fantastic fight. Zomentor, I've got to say, his racecraft has been absolutely on point. He's been getting into the mix, getting into the battles there. As I can see, more drivers getting into the mix as well. Steve Saunders has got Philip Masson there, kicking up a little bit of a smoke show, ladies and gentlemen, as well. Battles happening throughout the field, indeed, here at oh my gosh, where are we? Jerez. There we go.
The Circuito de Jerez Angel Nieto. Well, it looks like these drivers are crossing the line with over 2 minutes remaining, so that means there's still 2 laps remaining in this race. So now the pressure's on here for Martin Visser. Has to work a little bit harder for an extra lap to try and keep Brandon Priest behind him, and Adam Meeker is still sitting in the background of this fight. He hasn't been a protagonist in it necessarily, but he's been keeping himself in the mix, and sometimes that's all you need to go for the win on the final lap. Thomas Niemanen still all alone in 4th. You see him pop out in the background right there. He's been struggling to keep up with the pace of the top 3. No slipstream and no one to follow. He hasn't been able to get below a 1 minute 58 for pretty much the whole race at this point. He's just got to hope that something happens to these guys ahead and he can sneak a podium.
Indeed, as we got I can't quite say that. We're somebody asking what car this is, and ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed the Spec Racer Ford. If you're not familiar with it, it's one of the cars you get for free in the iRacing service, ladies and gentlemen, and indeed a great way to get started in racing competitively here. As you see, these drivers, these are Almeida Racing Academy students, ladies and gentlemen. These are not your, just these guys have not been racing for about 10 minutes. They indeed have been racing for indeed a whole season for the majority of this field, and if not a lot, well, all of them a lot longer as well. But looking to try and get that a little bit faster, find a little bit more time out on the track here, as indeed they are incredibly potent. If we have a quick look as well, a huge variety of iRating in the rig as well. The lowest I can see is 1419, ladies and gentlemen, and they're 2 splits of this. So despite that 1400 iRating, had the pace to get into the top split.
Indeed, often multiple splits running at a time for this series. Well, out of the final corner they come for the penultimate time. 22 seconds left on the clock as things stand. The white flag is out. Barney waving it sort of half-heartedly there. What do we pay you for, Barney? Into the first corner. Martin Visser will lead. Brandon Priest still right on the back of him. And Adam Meeker in the black number 31. He's been sitting in 3rd, watching these 2 fight away tooth and nail for this lead. Can he sneak in somewhere and get a few extra positions, maybe the win here? We'll have to wait and see. Visser has some form to back up. He has won both races so far tonight and is on course to win his 3rd, but Brandon Priest has been looking for the win from the outset here at Jerez. It didn't go well for him in race 1. He managed to sneak back to 2nd in race 2. Go for it here. Contact between the leaders coming out of Cito Ponds.
Yeah, we got to say Yan Cheek there, say Martin with the weaving is Reitman for a protest. I got to say, I do agree with him there. I can't defend the weaving on the straight, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sure what the Academy will see that as. Certainly, it's not a production issue. It is indeed a race control issue for which we are getting well out of. We'll just have our thoughts as we see fit. But right now, I have a feeling Adam Mika, he's kind of lurking in the bushes there. He's got a ghillie suit on in the form of a Spec Racer Ford. As these two guys, I can see contact happening again, ladies and gentlemen. Is Mika going to be able to slip by the pair of them and able to secure a win? There's another contact, and that is exactly what he's been waiting for. Visser gets pushed back, ladies and gentlemen, as Brandon Priest makes his way to the front of the pack. It's the final time through the center chicane. Ladies and gentlemen, can Mika find the fantastic corner exit he's been needing and make his way past the one and only Mr. Brandon Priest, the driver of the number 30 car? Martin Visser still very much in contention. Are we going to see a complete switch around as Visser goes up on the inside?
Oh, tries to grab it from Adam Mika, but the 31 gets out of the corner a little faster. Visser basically muscled out of the lead there by Brandon Priest, who will win the final race of the day here at Jerez. Mika gets into second. Niemanen, a solid fourth.
No!
Oh no, Kevin Adrian, oh my God, Fakanya gets into him as well. They're going to end the race with big damage, these two drivers, but by some miracle, they are still in the top 10. Sayu, Saunders, and Masson battling as hard as they like behind, almost caught up to them, but it wasn't quite able to be done there. And, well, in the end, it looks like Fakanya will grab the club class win in race 3 out of that one. What on earth happened to Kevin Adrian? It was just a lose in the final corner, a little bit too deep, got out onto the marbles, and poor Fakanya, I mean, he'd already committed to the corner, probably wasn't able to see around it to see Kevin Adrian there. What could he have done?
Yeah, I gotta admit, it's one of those situations where I think, like, you know, did you want to stay still? I get why he wanted to go, but you know, as much as we love Kevin Adrian, I'm not too sure on that rejoin, you know. Don't get wrong, if you're Fakanya, I would probably be going around the outside, you know, but it's hard to say. It could have gone any way, but it actually worked out in Fakanya's way, so fair play to him. He's able to steal that club class win right at the very end, but Reese, we should probably go over the results here, indeed.
Yes, for sure. Brandon Priest is your final victor here at Jerez for the penultimate round of the Almeida Racing League Season 5. And Adam Mika will finish ahead of them. Martin Visser, you'd probably count him as the round winner with a 3rd and 2 wins tonight. A fantastic drive from the Dutchman all up. Thomas Niemanen finished on the podium in race 1, but it's a pair of 4th places in races 2 and 3 to end up for him. Rich Meesters gets his second top 5 of the day with 5th place in race 3. Zoltan Zomator gets his best finish of this round with a P6. In 7th place, Barrett Brummett. He was hovering around that sort of top 5 to top 10 area all day long for his league debut. Carlos Fakanya sneaks into P8 there with that contact coming up on the spun Kevin Adrian in the final corner, and Domenico Sayu will complete the club class podium there. Steve Saunders finishes in 11th in the end. Not a bad recovery considering how race 2 went for him. Philippe Masson, James Conrad, Andre Svoboda, and Carlton Howard round out your top 15, and they are your last finishers. Halliburton pulled over and retired. Mark Schmerder retiring with damage. Same for Zdenek Hamak as well. And Yanis Theophanopoulos, after how race 2 went, decided he wasn't going to do race 3, so we were missing him for that final race. So, now it's time to bring things in for driver interviews, and the first one we're going to talk to is Brandon Priest, who took the final win of the day, and you were threatening that pretty much the whole time, Brandon. You were right in the mix. It did get a bit brutal at times.
Yeah, no, obviously, like, the first race didn't go very well, and then the second race I started kind of figuring out and gaining some pace, and then in the last one, I just decided to, like, stay patient. Obviously, Martin kind of had the pace to build the gap between, like, me and Adam, and yeah, just kind of waited for an opportunity. And then as the last lap started closing in, I was like, all right, I've got like maybe a couple of places to overtake here, so I kind of just sent it, and yeah, I mean, got a little dirty at the end, but no, happy with the result. So.
Yeah, I think there's some points around this circuit where you do just have to muscle your way past in order to get that victory. What were your thoughts on the track as a whole, by the way? Because Jerez isn't the most used circuit in iRacing, but I think it's pretty underrated for my money. What about you?
No, I totally agree. Honestly, I was kind of surprised at. I mean, just there weren't very many officials that were full. I think like the biggest race I got into this week was like 8 people, which is surprising. I really like this track. I think in terms of like action, there's so many places to overtake. A couple straights, but it's not too, I guess, slipstream heavy, which is nice. And yeah, I mean, overall, like this was probably one of my favorite tracks that we've ran here this season. So.
Excellent stuff. Good to get your opinion on that, Brandon. Well, you've continued your momentum this season, continuing to be in contention and grabbing the occasional win here and there. One round to go at Winton next week. I guess we'll see you then. Congratulations.
Sounds good. Yep. Thank you.
All right, that was Brandon Priest there, winner of the final race of the day and getting a podium in all 3 races today. Adam Mika, a third, and a second. That looks pretty good on the results sheet.
Yeah, I can't complain. This is the 4th day I've owned this track, so pretty happy with the result.
Oh, so you're pretty new to Jerez. It's a circuit that can be pretty misleading at times. There's a lot of space to make moves, but you need to be very precise about how you do it.
Yeah, the slipstream effect here is pretty insane on the long straights. And yeah, if you can kind of hold the outside lines, which become the inside lines in the next corners, you can pretty easily defend here. Makes for some interesting races.
Certainly does. And for the final round of the season, we're going to be heading down to my neck of the woods, Australia, for Winton, a track that is the polar opposite of pretty much every track we've raced at this season. It's a bull ring. I think the circuits that you've driven in this series, Adam, I think the best comparison I could make would be to Lebanon in the BMW M2s. It's just a really tightly packed circuit. Have you driven it? Do you have any insights as to what we can expect next week?
Yeah, it's actually one of my favorite tracks. I really like tight, close racing, banging doors. Yeah, I don't want to give too much away, but I'm looking forward to it a lot.
As are we. And a great points haul for you today, getting onto the podium in all 3 races, Adam. That's going to set you up very nicely for the final round and hopefully get you a couple extra championship positions too.
Thank you. That's the goal.
All right. Congratulations, Adam. We'll catch you next week. And that is going to be the end of our driver interviews. It seems, Zippy. Wow. What a night once again. Question is, has Jerez entered your princess-approved list?
I've got to admit, from the broadcast side, the racing was absolutely fantastic, but I am going to have to take it for a spin myself for sure. And certainly, if you want to be part of this league, ladies and gentlemen, they do what's called pit parties as well. I actually saw live stream some the other day, but basically they go in, they make a session, do that, and then they actually leave the pits every 5 minutes so you can practice on your racecraft and indeed learn the track as well. You can hang out with the coaches, hang out with the community, and not only that, they do workshops as well. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get faster in sim racing, you can have as much gear as you like, but you need the talent to be able to control it, ladies and gentlemen. And don't get me wrong, there's an investment side. You're going to go faster and you're going to be quicker there with the right kind of coaching, ladies and gentlemen. So indeed, that is the way to go. Almeida Academy 3.0 has just launched this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. It launched on Black Friday and there is a sale going on right now. So 100% make sure you take part of that. But we have been keeping an eye out here for Carlos Ficania to see if he can find his way over to the interview booth. He's not yet appeared, so we'll give him a couple of minutes here, ladies and gentlemen. But Reese, while we allow for that, let's get some thoughts for you on how this season's been so far.
I think, well, I would put my hand up and say to Swelio and the crew, can we please keep the spec racer Fords? Like, I understand the thought process behind changing up the car every season or so, and I think that's really good. But just from an entertainment perspective, the spec racer Ford has been a fantastic addition to this league, and it's been great to see what the drivers have been able to do with it. Track selection this season has been on point as well. We visited a wide variety of circuits, all of which have produced very entertaining racing.
Absolutely, and certainly myself, I was an advocate for this car for a long while, ladies and gentlemen. And I honestly try to think what else we could use. I mean, they've used the M2, they've used the 1600, they've used the LMP3. I do have to wonder if a GT4 option could be quite good, or indeed TCR. Ladies and gentlemen, Swelio being a real-life driver for the Brian Herr Autosport Cup, Autosport, indeed, could be a fantastic opportunity there. Certainly, often Swelio will do, you know, he's getting ready for a race, and he'll do the sections where he goes in, prepares, and he puts the TCRs on. A lot of fun. Myself, TCR quite underrepresented in the iRacing world. Definitely, it's not usually a first choice for a lot of drivers, but it definitely has a unique set of characteristics, I've got to admit, as well. But don't get me wrong, I don't have any info on next season yet. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what's coming. And then if I did, I'm sorry, it's going to be a secret for now. But certainly, we are indeed going to bring this show to a close. Carlos, we did want to catch up with you. We've not been able to find you. And I know, Kane has tried to point you here in the right direction. But Reese, if you'd like to do the honor, sir, as we get ready to head out for the week.
Indeed. One round remains next week at Winton Motor Raceway. You do not want to miss the conclusion of this season. So if you manage to join us for this one, come back same time next week and we'll be able to close this season out on a high note in rural Victoria, Australia. My name is Reese Gardner. Daniel Zippy Salmon alongside me in the comms box and also producing behind the scenes here on Pit Road Productions. From everyone on the PRP chat and also in Swelio Almeida's chat on the multi-stream on his channel, thank you so much for joining us for this fantastic night of racing, and we hope to see you all again next week. From all of us here at Pit Road Productions, it's bye for now, but certainly not forever. See you at Winton.
If you're a racing driver and you want to reach an advanced level, there's a faster and easier way to become competitive. I've gone from this to this in 5 years. Now, we've created the perfect free driver development guide to help you understand the right order of racing skills to develop if you want to become a competitive driver as quickly as possible. This guide was made after 3,000 hours of combined high-level coaching.